Growing up, I depended on gaming magazines, arcade experiences, and word of mouth when deciding if a game should be rented, purchased, or bypassed entirely. This was of course if I could find the game in the first place. Fast forward to now, and generation after generation of game consoles have come and gone. With that, there are many games I wanted to play, yet never had the opportunity to. Many I have fond memories of that I would like to revisit, and a few I have negative memories of that might deserve a second chance. This is Retro Impressions and Reviews, a show dedicated to answering if video games from the past are worth your time today. Kolibri is a beautiful shooter with puzzle elements that does very little to hold the player's hand. Even starting out, there is no in-game explanation as to what needs to be done to move on to the next level. Luckily, if you have the manual, the story is detailed there, along with what is actually required to start the game. In short, the story revolves around two ancient sentient crystals, a pure one, who millions of years ago crashed on Earth, becoming the spark that creates life on Earth, and a dark one, who arrives at the start of the game. The dark crystal is infested with a blight that kills all it comes in contact with. On its deathbed, the pure crystal, seeing Kolibri pass by, senses that he is pure and unaffected by the disease, and chooses to infuse the bird with its remaining energy, giving him the power needed to fight back and destroy the dark crystal. Contrary to what the back of the box might have you believe, this is a co-optional two-player game, and it's quite a bit of fun, having that second person along for the ride. From the second stage on, all weapons are open to you. It's a welcome departure from other games who do little to deviate from past working formulas. The stages are well paced and well designed with 20 in total. I really appreciate the fact that your health is only displayed when you pick up a health pot or take damage. This keeps the screen clean, something a game like this really benefits from. I was also thankful for a simple password system allowing me to turn off my system between gaming sessions and pick back up where I left off rather quickly. I love the journey the game takes you on. Starting in the high plains, the game eases you from one zone onto the next, making the journey feel quite organic. Over the course of a couple of stages each, you move slowly into and out of each zone. It's a nice change to be eased into a new area and know exactly how you got there, having experienced a changing landscape along the way. Stage types include free roaming, objective-based, and auto-scrolling. As I stated before, Kolibri does little to hold your hand or give the player direction, with the exception of a few straightforward auto-scrolling stages. For many stages, the objective might be hard to grasp without replaying many times, and even harder if you don't familiarize yourself with some of the concepts in the manual itself. The fact that the manual is so chock full of useful information is something I really respect. The game was released during a time I would purchase a game and obsess over the manual until arriving home to play it. Novotrade did a really nice job in making sure this was worth your time to read, and I think it really pays off for the player as well. With that said, let's look over some common complaints, starting with respawning. I've heard complaints about enemies respawning when returning to a previously cleared area. Personally, I have no issue with this, as I believe the goal was to make the area seem overly infested. It's also clear that it was intentional, being not all enemies respawn. Snakes are one creature you need only kill once. I've never felt the game was cheap, unfair, or hard to control. Speaking of how the game controls, this is one of the biggest debated issues of the game. So are the controls good or bad? Well, that depends on your expectations. By default, you will stay facing the direction you were when you started firing your weapon. The only way to change direction is to stop shooting and turn around. When I first started the game, I personally felt it an odd choice for the developer to set this as the default control option. But after spending a sizable amount of time with this game and trying both control styles, the default control is now my preferred method. Let's tackle the biggest complaint about the controls, the auto-centering. Anytime you press up or down and release, Kolibri will move slightly in the opposite direction and forward. The reality is, this only happens when you stop moving, and there's very little reason to stop moving in any area where danger is near. Although this caused me slight frustration in exactly one spot during the game, it was never enough of a bother that I would consider it when factoring my final score, and only really bring it up here to cover something others seem to have major issue with. I enjoyed every minute of this game from start to finish. It never felt like the developer was trying to abuse me with impossible challenges. The game is properly balanced, giving just enough difficulty that I can enjoy it until the end without becoming frustrated. I love the fact that you assume the role of a small hummingbird, making things that would typically be uninteresting background fodder in most other games larger than life. Everything looks amazing, and I found myself impressed every time I saw a new creature. The graphical design in this game is on point, start to finish. While nothing sticks out as memorable, or will find its way on any gaming playlist, the soundtrack was enjoyable to listen to, and was a positive addition to the gaming experience. Depending on if you have expectations coming in, this could be a negative for you. For me, however, I came in with no expectations and left satisfied having played something fresh. 20 pages long, 2 pages of backstory, and sections detailing how to custom build a hummingbird feeder, hummingbird facts, strategies for the game, and a list of resources for anyone wanting to learn more along with the standard fare. This manual is incredible. Although not game-breaking by any means, I suffered slowdown again and again and again. I find it very unacceptable for any game to have slowdown and will ding them accordingly. After getting to the end of the second longest level in the entire game, it crashed. This only happened once, but man, it was beyond frustrating. Unless you enjoy playing games again without additional incentive, Kolibri offers no reason to return. In the end, I find this to be a great game that I would highly recommend to most people. It was well worth the time invested, and if nothing else, it's worth at least one playthrough. So give it a go. My final score? A solid 8. Thanks for watching the video. Feel free to leave a positive or negative comment below letting me know your thoughts. I have a few additional videos currently in the works, so subscribe if you enjoy the review. Until we meet again, this is Retro Impressions and Reviews.